Hey!
Hi everybody, welcome to Horrible Time.
With Pebble Dash.
That's me. And Anth.
That's me.
How are you, Bab?
I'm not doing too bad. How are you?
I'm really good. I've been working all week.
I've just been sitting on my arse all week.
Well, I mean, fair. You've been sat with the cats, though.
That's true.
So I feel like we should tell everybody that we do have two cats. One is a black cat, and his name is Boo.
And the other is black and white, and his name is Argento.
Why Argento?
Named after the director, of course.
Who? Aja Argento.
Dario Argento.
Obviously, Aja Argento is his daughter, who we used to love, but then she fucked up me too, so now we don't like her. So, what have you been watching this week?
This week, what I've been watching is The Stand. Yeah, so that's the main horror thing that I've been watching.
I mean, I'm pretty much the same, to be fair. I've not really watched much other TV. So what did you think of The Stand?
Well, for those who don't know what The Stand is, it's originally a novel by Stephen King. And then it was adapted into a 1994 TV show. And then it's been readapted into a 2020 TV show. This one's a little bit more closer to the book. They've been able to include things that they couldn't in the TV show, the original TV show.
Because it was old.
Aye. But it did have Kathy Bates in it, which was fun.
I love Kathy Bates. Can we just agree that Kathy Bates is also a scream queen?
Kathy Bates is definitely a scream queen. I mean, Misery is, you know, one of the most iconic horrors.
Absolutely.
And obviously she's had like a career resurgence with American Horror Story.
Mm-hmm.
And she plays some great characters in that as well.
Exactly. I just love Kathy Bates. I also love the movie. Well, I don't love the movie, but I've seen the movie where she gets naked with Jack Nicholson, and that is a fucking horror movie.
She guest starred in 6 Feet Under as well, and she was great in that.
I never really watched 6 Feet Under.
It's good. It's by the same guy who does True Blood.
Oh, is it? Mm. And doesn't it have that ginger woman? Balenciaga.
Frances Conroy, yes.
Yeah. So, anyway, back to The Stand. So, it was adapted originally in what year?
1994 was the original TV adaptation. Oh. And that was Molly Ringwald played Franny. And Gary Sinise played Stu.
Gary Sinise? Who's that?
Is it Gary Sinise?
Is that the guy out of, like, a police show?
Yeah, I think it's Criminal Minds or something like that.
Yeah, I think I know who you mean.
Yeah, and then, I'm trying to think who else was in it. There was, like, relatively unknown actors in it.
Mm.
But this one is quite star-studded.
Yeah, it's definitely got the kind of star pool. Like, who's in it? So we've got Ezra Miller, James Marsden, Amber Heard, #cancelled.
Alexander Skarsgard.
Alexander Skarsgard.
Heather Graham popped up in an episode as well.
Really random. So yeah, this one was definitely more star-studded than the other one.
It kind of had the star pull. Mm-hmm. I mean, Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh my god, we forgot Whoopi.
How could we forget Whoopi? Oh. She played Mother Abigail.
Everybody loves Whoopi. That's why they chose her to play Mother Abigail, because you had to love her, even if you're not religious, and because like the religious aspect lost me. But having Whoopi Goldberg, I was like, sold. She
was originally going to be Mother Abigail in the 1994 adaptation.
Was she?
Yeah.
Oh, she would have been too young. Because that's like, how long's 1994? That's like a lot of years ago.
Yeah.
I don't do maths, I'm pretty.
So, what did you think of it overall then? Because this was your first time being introduced to The Stand, whereas I've read the book and watched the original TV show.
So, I've never read the book, I've never seen the TV show. I like Stephen King, I like the obvious Stephen King horrors that everybody does. But I also love Tommyknockers, which is much underrated, and we're absolutely deep dive into that movie because it is amazing. Laser lipstick by an ex-porn star. Yes, please. So I really enjoyed the first few episodes. I thought it built the characters really well, and I was invested. I wanted to know what was happening.
Yeah.
The more it got into religion, and away from just generally good versus evil. Good versus evil is every horror, but they started to go into religious tropes,
Yeah.
and that for me started to lose me because I just don't care about religion. It's just not for me. So watching that kind of I found annoying. I loved all of the elements of the kind of new hellscape in New Vegas.
Yeah.
That's absolutely where I would want to be, living my best life. I really liked it. I really loved Tom.
Tom Cullen.
So Tom, is it Tom Copeland, did you say?
Cullen.
Tom Cullen is a differently abled character who at first could almost appear he was going to be used as a joke, but actually he's the one character who, for me, I had the most kind of draw to and felt the most for. And spoiler alert, he completely survives, but I really didn't think he was going to at one point, because he's so pure and innocent, and that's obviously what the kind of point of him being an adult who has mental disabilities, it's to reflect innocence.
Yeah.
And the kind of innocence in this new world of good and evil being so kind of blatantly obvious. I just loved him.
He was a great character, but he wasn't in it as much as I thought he would be.
Is he in it more in the book?
Yeah, but the book has more like POVs from different characters, so it's more like fleshed out.
Stephen King loves having differently abled peoples in his books, though.
He does, yes. He definitely highlights like marginalised.
Yeah. So yeah, I loved Tom in The Stand, and I loved to hate Amber Heard.
Yeah. Well, Nadine's my favourite character.
Yeah, I can see why. I feel like Nadine has been kind of groomed by Randall Flagg.
Yeah.
The Dark Man, who's like the bad guy throughout the film, and he's the son of Satan, isn't he?
Yeah, it's like heavily implied that he's like at least from a hell dimension.
So he'd kind of groomed her since she was young, and she played with a Ouija board with other people in her orphanage. And her character at first seems like this really lovely, caring girl who took in this young boy who wasn't speaking, he was mute. And then slowly you got to start to see her unwind.
Yeah.
And then I feel like, so in the TV show, she goes to join Randall in New Vegas, and she becomes pregnant with his child, and she becomes really ill and gaunt looking, and she's basically has to die to give birth to Randall's child. Yeah. I feel like from the point she ended up in New Vegas, she was wasted. There was no point in her being there. I felt like they rushed the ending of her story when it had been such an integral part from the start.
Yeah, because she was involved in a lot of events of the TV show up until that point.
Yeah.
So like that guy, they bombed New Boulder, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. Ezra Miller's character, who that was an acting choice.
Yeah, because I remember seeing the promotional photos and I was like, oh, he looks pretty good, but it was interesting. The way that he portrayed it in comparison to Tom Cullen.
Yeah, so Tom Cullen, it never felt like a pastiche of someone who is differently abled, whereas the bomb dude, Ezra Miller, he was just a pyromaniac, and obviously there was some level of mental thing going on with him, but like he just didn't even really use words. It felt camp. It felt really camp, and like almost like we were taking the piss out of that character. It didn't feel like a whole person.
Mm.
Yeah, so I really liked it. The ending, again, spoiler alert. And also, just for anybody who's fucking stupid, obviously we're going to be reviewing things, so we'll be full of spoilers. But it really lost me at the end when dust went around New Vegas, which is set up to be like the new hellscape, and a ball of lightning started electrocuting all the quote-unquote bad guys.
Yeah.
And it was meant to be like they were being raptured, and what did you say happened in the original at the end?
So in the original, 1994 adaptation, it's a really bad CGI hand of God.
Like an actual hand.
Yes.
So a hand comes out the sky.
Yeah, it's like yellow and just literally detonates the nuclear bomb and blows everyone up. So this version was a bit more fleshed out.
Right.
As in, like, after the hand wrapped around the hotel.
So I didn't notice this. I noticed, like, the dust around the hotel, but you said that it was in the shape of a hand. Yeah, and then, so this hand of God and this ball of lightning, and for me, I was like, this is stupid. This is just dumb. Like, I did not spend 8 hours at this point watching this for a little, and not even a big ball of lightning, not like a big ball of lightning in the sky and the sky was on fire. Literally inside the hotel, a very small sphere of lightning killed everybody. I just didn't get it. I thought it was the most ludicrous thing I'd seen.
I was watching it with you and I was just like, okay.
But yeah, and then we had the last episode, which you discovered, what was it you said, did Stephen King?
So Stephen King either worked with the producers or wrote it, and it was an epilogue of what happened after, but focused on Franny's character, because he felt originally that she didn't get like a big kind of like send-off like the others did. So the last episode of this version is more or less all about her.
And so I've obviously never seen any of the other ones. I've not read the book either. So for me, I didn't mind the episode. I got that it tidied everything up. I needed something more than a ball of lightning. So I didn't mind that we had this episode, and it gave you like a throwback version of Mother Abigail as a child, still kind of looking out for Franny, and she got to see Mother Abigail again. She got to see Randall Flagg again, because, spoiler, he didn't actually die. He was nude, and Alexander loves being naked at the last episode of a TV show. And I quite liked it. I actually didn't mind it. I hated the actress that played Franny, but I think it was the best she'd done through the entire season.
It was the best she had done, but I really hated it. I thought it was a pointless episode. Because when Randall Flagg finds that tribe, that is in the book.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. But all the other events of that episode isn't really. And I just thought it was boring.
I mean, not much happened. As a horror, there wasn't much horror.
Well, we were just discussing this before, weren't we? Like, is it actually horror? It's more post-apocalyptic.
One of those Club Tropicanas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the disease they have is Captain Trips, and their necks swell up and they drown in their own phlegm.
It's basically like a super glue.
Yeah, I mean, it's coronavirus. So you all better watch yourself. We've watched the series, we know how coronavirus ends. Would you rate it or slate it as a series?
I think for someone who wasn't aware of it, it's a good introduction to it, I guess, to like its universe. But for me, I was just a bit like, watching it out of loyalty of Stephen King.
Which, with Stephen King adaptations, we're all guilty of watching out of loyalty, because they're not very often very good.
They're hit or miss.
They really are.
Castle Rock, though. Oh.
We need to be talking about Castle Rock, but not in this episode. Teaser. Absolutely. So yeah, for The Stand, I would rate it. I didn't hate it as a TV show. I was happy to watch it, and I enjoyed it. I didn't find much of it scary.
No.
And I hated the second to last episode with the ball of lightning. It just was stupid and it looked lazy. Yeah.
I would more or less agree with that. Some of the character work was really good. Nadine, obviously, surprisingly, by Amber Heard. I thought she was the most compelling character. And then Tom Cullen's character was really good.
Oh, he was the heart.
Yeah.
So, my final question about The Stand. What was your favourite, like, queer or queer-leaning moment within The Stand?
Well, it doesn't have any overtly queer characters in it. But I'm just going to say it again, like, most gay people love a female antagonist.
Yes.
So I'm just going to put it out there and say Amber Heard again.
Johnny Depp is crying into a whiskey bottle somewhere that we have said this, but she was good. I don't think she's a good actress, and I was really shocked by how well she'd done in this. My queer kind of takeaway from it is going to be Randall Flagg's arse.
Oh my god, how could I forget?
He done it. Alexander Skarsgard got naked.
He was so camp.
And yet his character... Actually, do you know who else? His little sidekick was the campest southern man that I've ever seen on TV. Like, camper than Leslie Jordan.
He was so camp.
So camp. So, moving on, let's have some horror news.
Oh, would you like me to start?
On you go, doll, on you go.
Okay, so The Last of Us has cast it's Ellie and Joel. So Ellie will be played by Bella Ramsey, who is known as, I want to say, Lyanna Mormont in Game of Thrones. And Joel is going to be played by Pedro Pascal, who is also in Game of Thrones and The Mandalorian.
Is it being made by HBO?
It is being made by HBO, but Neil Druckmann, who created the game, he is a co-writer and a producer. So I think we're going to see a very faithful adaptation of The Last of Us, which, for those who don't know, is a 2013 horror survival film, video game.
It's the best game. For me, it's my favourite game. Yeah,
so it was critically acclaimed, and I think it changed the landscape of horror gaming. So,
oddly, though, I don't think it's a horror game.
Yeah, you don't think it's a horror game, but it is.
Yeah, but I don't think of it as a horror game because I think the story's so much bigger and more important than the fact that there's, like, zombified kind of people.
Yeah, it's a story about a father and daughter relationship. And it just so happens that it happens in a horror format. Yeah,
I would agree. What do you think of the casting? Because I'm going to tell you first what I think. I'm sorry, dear, but who are you?
Yeah.
Little girl, why are you playing this character? No.
So, it's been in the works for a long time, and there was heavy rumours about who would be cast as Ellie, because she's a beloved character.
And they also screwed up by making her a perfect resemblance of Elliot Page.
Of Elliot Page, yes. Which he did not like.
No, he really did not like.
Because he was tied to a game already called Beyond Two Souls.
Yeah, I played that game. It was a game that I played.
It was
alright. So, yeah, the casting. I think Joel is a southern Texan white man.
He is, yes.
Ellie is a Texan white girl.
Yeah.
Lyanna Mormont, or whatever the hell her name is, her character was great in Game of Thrones, but she had about 5 lines. Pedro Pascal has somewhat of an accent and doesn't look like Joe. The girl, I think, can be made to look like Ellie.
I think that Pedro Pascal could be made to look like Joel. Just give him a big bushy beard and you're done.
Here's the thing. I would sleep with Joel many times over. I would not sleep with Pedro Pascal.
He's fantastic in The Mandalorian, though.
What's The Mandalorian?
It's a Star Wars TV show on Disney+.
Oh, sorry, that silence was because I died in boredom. Star Wars.
He's really good. My personal opinion is I'm really disappointed that Maisie Williams is too old now. Because I think she could have done a good job as Ellie.
I think, right, so here's the thing. When you're adapting from a book, everybody has their own idea of what someone looks like.
Yeah.
When you're adapting from a game, we know exactly
What
what,
they
the
look like,
characters
yeah.
look like.
Yeah, totally.
It's like Tom Holland being cast as Nathan Drake. I can see him as a young Nathan Drake, and we
Me
hope that's
too,
where
yeah.
he goes.
Yeah.
But as an older Nathan Drake, it would be odd. These two have got dark hair.
Yeah, there's not much of a resemblance.
But, hey, will I watch it? 110%. Will I judge the cast in every episode if I don't like it? 120%. Will I then play The Last of Us after? 130%. Will I pull the pad thinking about the real Joel? Yes.
That's the tea right there.
So, I think we also would be remiss when we're talking about game adaptations if we didn't talk about new games. Resident Evil Village.
Dun dun dun.
Oh my god. Right. There is a character, as I'm sure you are all aware if you're a horror gamer. You know how generally queer people love horror gaming. We love horrors in general because it's about it's about being different. Obviously, we don't tend to go out and murder people. Some of us do. Jeffrey Dahmer. I love his work. You cannot say that on a pod. I am keeping that in. I'm going to shame you. You're going to get cancelled. First episode of the podcast.
Love it.
It's kind of hot though. I can't say her name. And Anth is going to try.
I'm going to try to say her name. Well, should we talk about who she is and what she is first?
No, I want to hear you say her name.
Okay, so her name is Alcina Dimitrescu.
Now, for all of our Eastern European and Russian listeners and followers, that was Anth that said that. That's Anth that butchered your poor language.
I'm sorry about that.
But that bitch is fierce.
She is fierce, yes. So she's only really featured in like one trailer so far. But we have found out that she's 9'6", so she's the tallest Resident Evil villain. So she towers above the Tyrant and Mr. X and Nemesis.
Yes.
And she is going to be a stalker around the castle. So we're going to shit our pants when we play.
Honestly, I'm so excited. So at first, when I seen Resident Evil Village and saw the very, very first trailer, as we know, I'm a massive Outlast fan. Outlast Whistleblower, and Outlast 2. And Outlast 2 was set within a village and the surrounding areas, and it was about a religious cult and things like that. So I was worried because it looked very similar when they released the original Resident Evil Village trailer. But actually, the fact that I now know it's definitely more Eastern European lore that they've used for this 9-foot-odd woman. I'm not saying her name. They've used like Catherine. Is it Catherine Bowery? Who is it? Bowery? Madame Bowery, the one who bathed in blood. Elizabeth Bathory, that's it. Well, I was nearly there. So they've she's part of the kind of lore that's built her, and she's a vampire.
Yeah, so it's speculated that she's a vampire, and she's got 3 daughters as well.
Ooh, which is very Penny Dreadful.
Yeah.
The 3 kind of witchy vampires and
that. Penny Dreadful, yes.
Oh, they were so good. We'll do a deep dive into that as well. But yeah, so this big lady Dimitrescu or whatever it is.
You said her name right.
Yeah. Because I've been listening. Why do we love her?
Well, first of all, that fucking hat.
Candy Muse could never.
Oh, yes. She's wearing this huge hat, which is just absolutely amazing. She's got like 1920s like flapper bob black haircut, and then she's got a huge dress, a white dress, and it's speculated that like she's going to be mutated, and that's why the dress is so huge, because it's like mutations underneath the dress.
Yes, I would explain that actually.
Yeah. And her daughters, from a trailer, they can turn into flies or bats or something, and they chase you as well.
I would hope bats. Let's take something a bit pure.
Like moths or flies or something.
Oh,
like
or moths.
Yeah.
A moth once flew into my hood of my jacket, and I was sick on myself. I hate moths.
Oh, me
They're just dusty butterflies. Bin it.
Bin it, put it in the bin. But yes, we are very excited for this, and so is, like, the queer community.
Yeah, because we love a bad bitch.
Yeah, and there's so many memes already about her, and she's just everywhere.
Oh, she's amazing. How many drag queens are going to be pulling that look?
I was just about to say yes.
I need to invest in some stilts because I'm only a very, very petite 6'3" in heels. So I need to invest in some heels. So one of the things that I've seen this week, which I am fascinated, obsessed, and scared with.
Mm-hmm.
So, Silence of the Lambs. Let's take a moment for the iconic horror.
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo Bill's house is being opened up for overnight stays. So Buffalo Bill's house from the movie, you can go and stay there.
Oh my god.
How amazing. It's in Philadelphia, and it's got memorabilia and stuff in there as well. It's also opened up for being used again as filming locations and things. But could you imagine going and staying in his house?
Oh my god, and then the lights go off.
See, that is my thing. It's all cute until something a gust of wind might blow away I didn't expect, and I would be running, screaming into the night, and I wouldn't come back.
I wonder if that's to do because Clarice has just started.
It could be. I know that the house has got a new owner. They've just took over ownership, and let's face it, when it's like that house is iconic.
Yeah.
When he's doing his wee dance, and obviously with the well and everything downstairs. So
would you fuck me? I'd fuck me.
So yeah, his house is amazing, and it's an iconic part of the movie. And yeah, listen, anybody who's had anything to do with horror, it's a cash grab. Think of all the haunted houses you can go and stay in. I'm from Scotland. Every bloody hotel in Scotland's advertised as a haunted hotel. Mary Queen of Scots died in about 19 hotels in Scotland. Honestly, too much. Another thing that I've seen that I haven't heard anything about, you may have. So, Ant's just tried to say a Russian name. I'm going to try and say an Asian name. Kishiro Toiramis?
Okay.
Anyway, it's one of the original guys who made Silent Hill.
Yes.
Has a new game. Ooh. So he left Silent Hill and was making more, like, fighting games and stuff like that. He's got a new game. I've not got the name of it yet, but the poster, it looks like it's going to be a psychological thriller. If you look at the poster, it literally reads psychological thriller. It's a woman's face, but there's like parts of her face have been like sectioned off, and you can see behind, and it's like wires and stuff.
Oh, okay.
It honestly looks absolutely up our street, and he said himself that it's going back to like the roots of that kind of horror.
Kind of like that, yeah.
Because I always preferred Silent Hill to Resident Evil, because I felt like Silent Hill 3 for me was just iconic. Almost all female. Almost the whole cast was female in Silent Hill 3, apart from like obviously the policeman, the detective was male. But most of the cast was female, and it was just a very female-centered game. At the ending of the game, obviously, sorry, spoiler, the ending of the game, the main antagonist had to eat the fetus from the young girl.
Yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember? Because remember they made the movie. And I don't mind the movie. You're not a huge fan.
The first Silent Hill movie, atmospheric, amazing. Second, quite terrible.
So I liked the first movie, but I think they made the story more convoluted than Silent Hill was.
Yeah, I mean, Silent Hill's a convoluted story.
Yeah, and that movie, at the end, I was like, what? Where are these people? I didn't get it. Whereas Silent Hill 2 was a horror movie. Like, that's how it was made. It wasn't as psychological. It was, here's a scary thing, here's a scary thing, here's a scary thing. So I appreciated that. The actors were not great.
I know.
Really not great. But the acting in the game, Silent Hill 3, is amazing, and it's just such a good game. And when I compare, like, the first Silent Hills to the first Resident Evils, they were both, like, tank controls, which I can't use because I'm an old man.
We could then, though. Can you remember?
Yeah, this is the thing. I always remember Code Veronica X. I loved that game.
Yeah.
And I tried to play it on my PS2 within the last year and literally couldn't move. I just kept getting stuck. I don't know how they've done it. I love that they've remade the Resident Evils, and I just really wish they would remake the Silent Hills. I know they've done the Silent Hill HD collection, but they've never touched the first Silent Hill. And it's iconic.
They did a reimagining of it for the Wii.
But that's the Wii.
And it was like an alternative universe of Silent Hill. So all the characters were like play different roles.
Yes, that's the only Silent Hill that I've not played because it was Wii exclusive and it's never been released. I believe it might have been released for the PS Vita or the PSP, but it was never released as like a full console game.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I definitely prefer the Silent Hill games to Resident Evil because I find them scarier. Resident Evil, even when it wasn't about guns and ammo, was kind of about guns and ammo.
Yeah.
Whereas Silent Hill, you had to run a lot more and it was a lot more hiding. Like Alien Isolation.
Yeah.
When all you can do is hide.
Yeah. Okay, so in other news, Jordan Peele has announced that he's got a new film. I know.
What is it?
So it's untitled at the moment, but the release date is going to be July 2022.
Right.
And he has cast Keke Palmer as the main antagonist.
Oh, so I don't know, I've not heard this.
Yeah, so that's basically the information that has been released.
I mean, Kiki, I'm sorry to this man, Palmer.
Yeah.
I am so excited. I love Jordan Peele. I love that he started in comedy. And comedy and horror are so connected and people don't get it. It's the same kind of emotional response that you have.
Yeah.
And I love when comedians do horrors and thrillers because they generally are able to cross over really well.
Well, Danny McBride with Halloween 2018, like, he did such an amazing job.
Oh, so good. And obviously Chris Rock is doing Spiral from the Book of Saw. So is that all that we've had released for Jordan?
That's all that we've had released. However, he said that it's going to be much more horrific than Get Out and Us, which...
So Get Out and Us... I don't think, for me, I didn't think they were horrific, because I love torture porn. You don't. You just think it's like a waste of a movie. I love torture porn. I love when it's really horrific and gory and needless. But Get Out and Us, I didn't think they were that horrific. I think they fucked with your mind. Yeah. And that's what was horrific about them. Get Out. Us was really good. I preferred Get Out of the two in his kind of first canon. But I love what Jordan Peele's doing. I love that he is a person of colour making movies with people of colour as the main stars and showing like a different perspective. Because, listen, it's one of the oldest trope, the black guy dies first in horror movies. And I love that he's tipped that on his head and kind of said, well, no, actually, the black people are the antagonists and the... opposite end antagonist. Protagonist. I never said that was clever.
But yeah, I agree with what you said. Get Out is... Well, I just remember the first time watching it, I was like, what have I just watched? And it made you hate that girl. I hate her.
Alison Williams? Michelle Williams?
Michelle Williams.
Oh no, that's Destiny's Child, dear. What is her name?
I don't know. But she starred in The Perfection, and she was really good in that.
Yeah, but she was vile in Get Out.
Vile in Get Out, and you just wanted them to run all over. Oh,
I just loved, like, because we know racism exists. Like, we're not naive, we're not stupid. We know it's real, and we know that it's a different kind of racism in America.
Yeah,
and it's weird how the kind of... We've seen the stigmatisation and the sexualisation of black men within the gay scene, how it's that kind of BBD and that kind of shit, which is so stupid.
Yeah.
And he took that kind of notion and turned it into a movie where these people, and to them probably didn't think they were being racist, they thought they were celebrating, and it's like, well, no, like, you're trying to literally be these people.
Well, because it was fetishising.
Yeah.
that's essentially what they were doing in the film. The white antagonists were fetishizing, can't speak, the black people.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they mentioned, don't they, it's like they're virile, they're athletic, and stuff like that.
And it's just all like stereotypes and tropes. So yeah, I love seeing movies from a perspective that we haven't really seen in horror that often. I think probably one of the closest movies that I can think that, and it's funny because they're doing it, but I think would fall into that kind of Jordan Peele viewpoint would be Candyman. The original Candyman.
Well, yeah.
And obviously we know they're redoing it, and it does, well, they're not redoing it, it's like a follow-on. And it looks amazing for the trailers.
It does look good.
But it was one of the first horror movies that was like a big sell that really was looking at a lot of black culture. It wasn't painted grey. It wasn't the best.
Yeah.
It was still very much about having to rescue the white woman and that kind of thing. But it was probably more open and showed more black culture than any other horror movie at the time.
Yeah.
You've got the obvious like Bones with bloody Snoop Dogg, where he's like a vampire.
Vampire in Brooklyn with Eddie
Vampire in
Murphy.
Brooklyn. But then, yeah. What's his name, sorry?
Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy is like a caricature of a black stereotype as well, though. He plays that. I don't find him funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to the new Candyman as well. I tell you what else. So, a game that I love is getting an enhanced edition. So, Metro Exodus.
I have not played that.
I know, and I keep telling you that you have to play them. They're really, really good games. They're based on the novel Metro 2022, I believe it's called, which was originally a Russian book, and it's written by a Russian guy. I can't remember his name. And in the original game, you play a character called Artem, and the world's been kind of taken over by like monsters in essence, and they're pushed underground, and they have to use all the subways and everything under Russia to get around, and it's based kind of solely on like the Soviet Union at the time, and it's just such a good game. It's a really, really good game. There's elements of like run and shoot, run and hide, a lot of stealth, and it's a really good narrative driven game, and I just really enjoyed it. But it's getting an enhanced edition, which is going to have all the DLC, and it's going to be updated graphics and stuff as well. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Is it first person?
Right, so I can never remember which one's first person and third person.
So third person is when you can see your character on the screen?
No, you can't see your character.
Okay.
Which I don't usually like.
Because I find first person horror more immersive, because you can't see your character, you can only see their hands.
Yes.
So Resident Evil 7, because that was the first time they ever did first person. Oh, that was good.
Oh, it's so good. The bit in the house was good until you killed the old man, and then I found it boring after that.
Yeah.
Because it was like, oh, I've killed you.
Yeah.
What now? And then you end up in that boat. That was so stupid.
Yeah, me and Pebble really hate the boat section of Resident Evil 7. We talk about it all the time when we're talking about it. We hate the boat section.
Literally, we rant about this part of the game so often because it's just stupid.
It's so good up until that point, though.
Because they made it about people.
Yeah.
And then we lost the people and it just became stupid. I hated it.
So, my last, well, actually, second to last little bit of news is that The Fog, the cult 1980 classic by John Carpenter, has been discussed by John Carpenter himself that they might do a sequel to it. It was remade in 2005, but it was not a very good.
Who was in
Selma
the remake?
Selma
No,
Blair.
I love Selma Blair
Yeah.
as a comedy actress.
Even then. He's been talking about it, that he would be open to do a sequel to it. For those who don't know, The Fog is basically about a sunken ship, from what I remember, and then the fog envelops the town, and then like the dead from the ship come and attack them. And Jamie Lee Curtis is in it, and Adrian Barbeau as well, who it was a great 70s, 80s horror icon.
So good.
So that could be interesting, because I really enjoyed the original film.
I loved The Fog.
Yeah.
So good. And what's your last bit of horror news then?
Okay, so my last bit of horror news, it could be classified as horror, it could not, but however, the trailer to Cruella has dropped today. I don't know if you saw it.
No, I've not seen it.
Emma Stone looks absolutely amazing.
So I've seen some images previous to the trailer, and Emma Stone was looking good even as a young Cruella.
Yeah.
Cruella is... Every gay wanted to be Cruella for, like, Halloween.
They do.
Every drag queen loves a little Cruella
They
cosplay. I love Cruella to
So, yeah, I watched the trailer and I can safely say that I'm very excited for it. Emma Thompson looks like she's going to be playing the antagonist. And she's a fashion designer, and you can tell from the trailer because the fashion is on point. It is so good. Every gay man's dream.
Ugh, I'm so excited.
So, from what I've seen from the trailer, she starts out, she's got like ginger hair, and she talks about how she's never belonged and stuff like that. Then she meets two guys, and they rob somewhere, and then she changes her look to the iconic Cruella look. So the half black, half white hair. And it just looks so good, and her British accent is really good.
Yeah, I've seen her in not The Crown, the one about the Queen.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen
With
it
Rachel
before.
Weisz and Olivia Colman.
I can't remember the name.
I know, I can't remember what it was called, but she was good in that as well, Emma Stone. She's done a good accent.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited for that. It's maybe not necessarily horror, but it's like Disney horror, isn't it?
Yeah, but it was like... It looks like it's going to be different because obviously Maleficent happened, didn't it? And everyone thought that was going to be like the origins of why she was evil and stuff like that. But they turned her into like an anti-hero.
Mm-hmm.
Which
I loved the Maleficent films.
I like the first one.
I like them both.
But this one, it looks like Cruella is going to be like a bad guy, though. It looks like she's going to be like an antagonist.
Oh, so good.
And they had one shot of the Dalmatians in it. But you don't see, it's just like 3 Dalmatians, that's it. You don't see her looking at them or anything.
Why do we, as queer people, love female baddies?
Because, like, they are basically like the embodiment of everything that we love about being gay. It's like that, like, high, like, campery and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, and we relate to females more. Because we've never really had, like, a gay representation. Like, a gay, like, say, for example, a gay man being an antagonist.
That's true.
A horror antagonist. That kind of thing. So when there is a female antagonist, we kind of, like, gravitate towards that.
Oh, I love Cruella de Vil. I love Maleficent. I love Ma for the movie Ma. Octavia Spencer, isn't it? That was a great movie.
Ma.
Did you think I was just making something up?
I was
when
like,
said Ma?
what? Oh, yeah. That was weird.
That was an odd movie,
Yeah.
but I really
Oh,
liked
it made me
it.
cringe.
I really liked it. When she went to cut that man's dick off. So good. I really liked that movie. Who was that man? Wasn't that man...
Luke Evans?
Luke Evans. Oh yeah, remember the actor who came out the closet, then went back in the closet, and now has come out again. Dull. You were never playing straight roles, dear. We all knew you were a theatre darling. What have we got to look forward to coming up? Let me tell you. We, very, very soon, are going to have our very first guest interview. Would you like to know who it is, Anne?
I'd love to know.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to welcome to the stage the irrepressible talents of Baron LeVay. We love Baron.
We love Baron, we stan.
Baron is my husband. I will steal him from Plastique and have him all to myself.
Which should be a very interesting interview because Baron is a huge horror fan.
Yes. And is a horrible person. Yeah. That's a lie. Baron's the nicest person we've got in the scene here. I'm the horrible one. You can follow the podcast at A Horrible Time Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow your host Anthony at
Anthony Detro on Twitter and at Diamond Hardskin on Instagram. You can follow Pebble at
It's Pebble Dash on Instagram and Famous Cunt on Twitter. Recording by Pebble and Anth, mix and mastered by Pebble Dash, artwork by Graphic Design.